Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to the Operation Freedom platform. I'd like to thank you for joining us today with our ongoing series on health and nutrition with the great Dr. Peter Glidden, who I believe is one of the top, if not the top, naturopathic physician, not just in our country, but the world. You know, this is about our 37th or 38th segment in this series. All of these videos are available on OperationFreedomHealth.com, also available on this YouTube channel, also available at DaveJanda.com. So we have it. There's no excuse to say I can't find it. They're easily found. And again, the feedback we've had from folks has been, from the public, has been incredibly positive. The feedback from the big pharma types and the medical industrial complex types, they're not too pleased about this, because this is about empowering you with information, and in particular focusing on a topic that was never discussed throughout my medical training, and that is on nutrition and wellness and health. And my professor that taught me the most on this is with us today, Dr. Peter Glidden. And all of my education on this came after my medical school training, my internship, my residency, and my fellowship. A little background on Peter for those of you unfamiliar. He attended Williams College, obtained his Bachelor of Science degree in pre-medical studies from the great University of Massachusetts. He then obtained his naturopathic medicine degree from the great Bastyr University outside of, the city that was once known as Seattle. Or I should say, he attended Bastyr University, which is near the former independent country of Chaz. But needless to say, it's a phenomenal university and phenomenal school. In addition, Peter has been licensed to practice naturopathic medicine since 1992, continues to do so. But in addition to his fantastic clinical skills, Peter is a fantastic author, and I encourage you to go to Amazon.com. He has 2 books that are the foundation of our medical library in our home. Everybody is sick, and I know why. An attempt to cure with holistic medicine. Today we are going to be discussing about being stressed out. I have been inundated with a large number of emails from you, our listening audience, saying, look, I myself, my family, my friends, everybody's stressed out. Well, understandably. We got this whole coronavirus goat rodeo going on. We got what some people still call peaceful protests that have morphed into rioting and looting and destruction and death. We have politicians who have no functional medical knowledge, but they have a whole lot of totalitarian propaganda screaming at you that you must wear a mask. Even, in fact, some politicians I've heard saying, you should wear a mask while you're still at home. Okay. Needless to say, there are and we've had the economic chaos. There are umpteen reasons to be stressed out. On the other hand, there are things that you can do. There are things that you can do, and that's what this platform's about, empowerment of you. There are things that you can do from your nutritional and health and wellness standpoint to, if you will, calm the troubled waters. It's my honor to welcome back Dr. Peter Glidden. Peter, welcome back to the Operation Freedom platform.
Thanks, Dave. Keep up the fight, because there's only a handful of us that are standing up and talking about this. It's mostly just a gigantic, uninformed goat rodeo. I couldn't think of a better way to phrase it. Across the board, I'm questioning, or curious is a better word, why more of our colleagues haven't stepped up and said, look, this is just nonsense. We need to slow this whole thing down. In point of fact, when you crunch the numbers of the coronavirus, the death rate differs so much from state to state and from country to country. You can't trust the data. Either that or somebody's cooking the books. Either that or they have 10 times worse health care in the United Kingdom than they do in Russia. Well, something's going on here, and it's just not right. And nobody's talking about that out loud except you and me and maybe 3 or 4 other people. And, we get shadow banned a lot. It's really just, it's crazy to me how such a false narrative can be propagated for as long as it's been propagated, and you are absolutely correct. Everybody that I know is completely and totally and utterly stressed out.
And one of the reasons why everybody's so stressed out, Peter, is because of the hypocrisy and the blatant lying that's being thrown in their face. And people are are wise to it. Example, you mentioned the death rate. Just the other day, Florida, there were two 20-year-olds that were reported as having died from COVID-19, with coronavirus. And the doc of public health official was asked, well, wait a minute. These people under 20 that died, what were they? And they're listed as COVID-19 deaths. And he goes, well, one of them, well, I don't know about the other one, but I do know about one. And, well, maybe there was a problem with that. What was the problem? Well, that 20-year-old died in a motorcycle accident. But we're not sure it wasn't COVID-19 related. Okay. All right. And people hear that, Pete, and they go, I am being lied to. And this is what helps generate a huge amount of this stress. Now, Pete, if I look at my brethren, if you will, in that are MDs, when you start talking about stress, they're like, well, there's this pharmaceutical grade medication we can give you. We can do this. We can do that. And folks, if anybody says that to you, first ask them. First, tell me the side effects, because many times the side effects are either commensurate or even worse than what's being treated. So, Pete, and these same, my brethren, MDs will say, well, there's nothing else you can do other than, well, trying to just cope a little better. In fact, Peter, from a nutritional and wellness standpoint, there are many things people can do to reduce stress.
Yeah, and it's academic. It's not even debatable. I mean, the research has been done. The clinical trials have been done. The thousands of holistic doctors and medical doctors leaning towards the holistic end of the spectrum have used this stuff for decades with remarkable experience. So it's not questionable, right? It's not debatable. It's like in base 10 mathematics, 2 + 2 is 4. It is. Mm-hmm. You can't debate that. So this is all academic, but because of the pharmaceutical agenda, because of the monopolization of the medical marketplace, most people in the world, and let's quite frankly, most licensed medical professionals have no idea about these things. And that's why this platform is so important, because we just speak truth. And oftentimes, even though the research has been there for decades, it's the first time that people are hearing it. And it's like, holy smokes. Stress is a really interesting thing to talk about. And I wouldn't be naturopathic doctor if it weren't for stress. And let me explain that. In the early 1900s, there was a Hungarian medical doctor, and he also had a PhD in organic chemistry. His name was Hans Selye. And people in the listening audience should just do a Google search of his life and read he had an extraordinary life, Selye, Hans Selye. He basically coined the term stress and brought the term stress as we know it today into the realm of physiology. Before Hans Selye came along, the only people that talked about stress were people that were manufacturing things, like the stress on plastic objects and the stress that you could generate on a piece of steel before it broke or whatever. Mm-hmm. He was the first one to take the word stress and articulate it inside of a physiological model. And he wrote, I don't know how many books he wrote, 140 maybe, about 400 publications, something like that. He was fluent in 7 or 8 languages. He's a remarkable human being. And one of his books, I think it was called The Stress of Life, was read by the founder of Bastyr University.
Oh.
And in the late 70s, early 80s, naturopathic medicine was dead in the water. There was one naturopathic medical school in the United States. It was hobbling along. It wasn't well funded. It didn't have a good scientific base. And it was only a matter of time until naturopathic medicine was just dead. And Joe Pizzorno, Dr. Joe Pizzorno, came along, and he really was the tip of the spear of the reemergence of naturopathic medicine into the mainstream. And if it wasn't for Dr. Pizzorno, I wouldn't be here, because Dr. Pizzorno founded Bastyr University and really was responsible for the resurgence of naturopathic medicine. And he became motivated to do that after he read Hans Selye's book, The Stress of Life.
Hmm.
That was the turning point in his evolution as a human being of how he wanted to pursue medicine. And when you look at stress and how the body handles stress, then applied naturopathic medical science is the perfect solution for that. Allopathic medicine is the perfect solution for surgery and trauma care. Mm-hmm. That's its wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. Stress is the wheelhouse of the naturopathic medical profession because, conventional medicine, allopathic medicine, pharmaceutical centrist medicine uses drugs to exert a hostile takeover of the human body and force the human body into a particular corner. And sometimes that's a really great thing to do. That's what pain medication does, right? Thank God for lidocaine. But naturopathic therapeutics are of the belief that the body knows how to handle things. It just needs a little bit of help. So we develop therapeutics which support the body's natural, built-in adaptive mechanisms that the human body generates when it's under different kinds of stress. And we do it better than anybody else. Hans Selye talked about, in his articulation of this, he talked about two different types of stress. Eustress, which is positive stress, like you exercise, do aerobic exercise, it puts stress on your lungs, it puts stress on your muscles, stress on your joints. And then after the workout, your body strengthens the tissues that were just stressed, right? That's a positive stress on the human body. He also talked about distress, which is negative stress on the body. And distress can be psychological, it can be physiological. A piece of lead moving at 3,000 feet per second, right? A bullet is a pretty big stressor to the human body. Lots of different types of stress. And from the greater perspective, life, in fact, is a great big bowl of stress. I mean, you walk down the street and you inhale carbon monoxide from an automobile, that stresses the body out. Bad stuff in the food, bad stuff in the air, bad stuff in the body finds its way into the body, stresses the body out. Seasonal changes stress the body out. Bacterial infections, viral infections stress the body out. Then there's psychological stress, right? Which is a whole nother enchilada of which there are multitudes of, and that's what's affecting us now mostly is psychological stress, because people know all of this stuff mostly is BS, and yet they go out into public, they have to wear the mask. If they don't wear the mask, there's going to be blowback, and they're going to have to deal with it, and most people just don't want to get into those types of conversations with people. They don't want to have an antagonistic relationship, so they begrudgingly wear the mask.
Or they don't want to be fined $500.
Yeah.
Like in Michigan here. $500 and possible jail time.
Right. I mean, who wants to put up with that? So every time you wear the mask, it's like your self-esteem goes down a little bit, right? And then you hear the talking heads on TV and they're lying to you. You know they're lying to you. They might not know that they're lying to you. And like Mark Twain said, Samuel Clemens, it ain't what you don't know that'll hurt you. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. Right? That's the predicament that we find ourselves in. I mean, for goodness sakes, you turn on the TV, you turn on the radio, and you're stressed out because of all of this lamestream, bought off, paid off media nonsense, which is generating false narratives and creating political agendas which negatively affect everybody. And don't even get me started about economics. That's a gigantic stress right now.
Absolutely.
So what the hell are we going to do?
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Well, thank God for naturopathic medicine.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Naturopathic medicine argues that God knows best. That there's an intimate relationship between the human body and planet Earth. And that if you want to look to medicines that help the body deal with life on planet Earth, and perhaps a good place to start would be the plant kingdom. And I'm here to tell you there's an intimate relationship between the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom. And there are botanical medicines, medicinal agents, which are extracted from herbal from herbs that grow all around the world, thousands of different species and varieties, all of which have different physiological actions on the human body, benefiting the human body if they are applied correctly and right. This is the beauty of naturopathic medicine, because we marry nature and science. So we understand that there's a relationship here, potentially beneficial relationship, and so we're going to experiment with it. We're going to take the herbs into the laboratory, we're going to prepare them in different ways, and then we're going to administer them, and we're going to see what happens. And then we're going to do clinical trials, and we're going to see what happens. And this is how science is supposed to be done.
Right.
We're the only ones that are doing it based on the foundational belief that, look, there is, in fact, an intimate relationship between the animal of the human body and the plant kingdom. And there is such a thing, if I dare to say it out loud, as divine wisdom, which knits the entire thing together. And if you're smart enough, you can put those two things together and come up with medicinal agents which help the human body. And that's exactly what the Good Herbs Company has done.
So are there specific entities folks can take? And in particular, what part of the body do they target to reduce the stress?
Okay, so lots of different medicines in the world, lots of different pharmaceuticals in the world, and they all are used for different things. Lots of different botanical medicines in the world, and they're all used for different things, right? So when we're talking about helping the body deal with stress, there are a handful of botanical medicines which are our first go-to products. And the Good Herbs Company has put those into two separate products. One product is called Adrenal Health, and the other product is called Hypothalamus Support.
Okay.
The Adrenal Health and the Hypothalamus Support are specifically designed to assist the physiology of the body in dealing with distress, whether it's psychological or physical. The herbal preparations are they're really great. It's a combination of a number of different things: holy basil, Chinese licorice, royal jelly, ashwagandha, bilberry fruit, rhodiola, right? Products that most people in the listening audience have never even heard of before, but which botanical medicine experts and holistic healthcare practitioners for centuries use the same way that medical doctors use corticosteroids, right? I mean, this is old hat stuff to us. And one of the remarkable benefits, well, not benefits, but one of the most remarkable things to me about naturopathic medicine is really our therapeutic foundation beliefs. And the application of our therapeutics hasn't really changed over time. We haven't discarded things. We've added to what we already have, because our philosophy and our practice of medicine is based on natural law. And natural law is, well, doesn't matter what you think about it, it's a law. So when you understand natural law and you apply natural law effectively, it's going to be effective forever. And so, we don't change the boat. First with conventional medicine, it was bad humors in the body and bloodletting, and then it was mercury plasters, and then it was phrenology, and then it was, it's nuts, right? The halls of conventional medicine are littered with the discarded remains of outdated therapeutics. It's not the way it is with naturopathy. Our therapeutics have stood the test of time. Why? Because they're of a reflection and a function of natural law. So our whole thing here, right, is everybody in the world needs the foundation pack, because the foundation pack provides the 90 essential minerals, vitamins, amino acids, essential fats that the human body needs in order to function, but which are not all present in the food. So there's a bunch of nutrients we need every day. They're not all present in the food. A smart person would top off their tank on a regular basis just to give the body the raw materials it needs to fend for itself. And then as the icing on that cake, when we are talking about dealing with stress, which everybody is, and by the way, stress has a physiological impact initially on the endocrine system of the human body.
That's right.
The pituitary, the hypothalamus, the thyroid, and the adrenal glands. Hans Selye's work was a breakthrough, and this was, right around World War II, the time of World War II. He took rats and subjected them to different types of physical stress, and then he'd euthanize the rat, he'd dissect him, and what he saw was that it was remarkable, because you didn't even need a microscope to see these changes, but the adrenal glands in these animals had shrunken by over 80%.
Wow.
The more that they were stressed out, it was a visual change to the adrenal glands, not because of chemtrails, not because of cell phone radiation, right? Because of stress.
Right.
It was stress that did it, and the animal didn't have the nutrients necessary, the biochemical chutzpah necessary to deal with it. Remarkable stuff. And so when we're talking about helping the body to deal with stress, we need to focus on the endocrine system. And these two products do it better than anything I've ever seen. The adrenal health and the hypothalamus support, both remarkable. My recommendations: get 2 bottles of each, mix them together, and do 4 milliliters twice a day. 4 milliliters twice a day, just to help your body handle it. And once you do that, just like with the 90 essential nutrients, you give yourself the stuff that you've always needed, but you didn't know that you've needed, and you start to get remarkable results. You start sleeping through the night. Your aches and pains go down by a significant factor. Your blood pressure normalizes. Your libido comes back, right? Your mind clears up. Things happen because you didn't know what you were missing.
Right.
It's the same here. A lot of times when people are subject to this constant stress that we've been under since March now, they're just not aware of how bad it's affected them.
Yes, it's true.
Right?
It's stealth.
You don't feel
It's
your
stealth.
hair growing, right? It's like that. A little bit every day. So get the adrenal health, get the hypothalamus support, take 4 milliliters 2 or 3 times a day, and after 7 days, you call us up, write us, tell us what your experience was, and if you don't notice a significant difference, I'll eat my flippin' hat.
And then the underlying, as you said, foundation is the foundation pack for the 90 essential nutrients. And all these products are available on OperationFreedomHealth.com. Full disclosure, purchase of the products does support this platform. Peter, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you for everything you have done, are doing, and will do. You provide a foundational knowledge for people that they're really not going to get from any other source. I encourage folks, I mentioned Peter's 2 books. They are the foundation for our library at home. Medical library at home. I suggest you do the same. They are chocked full of information that you're not going to get from the bought-off lamestream fake media. The names of the book: Everybody is Sick and I Know Why. Second book, Attempt to Cure with Holistic Medicine, both by Dr. Peter Glidden. Peter, I thank you for, again, everything you have done, are doing, and will do.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Oh, by the way, I have breaking news.
What's
breaking news. Just like Sean Hannity, breaking news.
Oh, here we go.
I'm working on book number 3 right now. It's due out by Christmas.
Oh, great. Do you have a title?
Yeah, the working title right now is Health and Its Acquisition.
Oh.
So stay tuned.
That'll be the big pharma industry will love that one. Just like the first 2. That's outstanding. Again, Pete, thanks for everything you do. And I'd like to thank you folks for joining us today. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. OperationFreedomHealth.com is where more information and the products are also available, as I mentioned before. Thanks for joining us today.